Hi, this is Billie Moffat with the Gail Borden Public Library, and in just 1 minute we'll be going live with how to make paper lanterns. So today we'll be learning how to make these little water lily paper lanterns to put over your Christmas or fairy lights to make a beautiful summer, spring, or anytime decoration. We'll be starting in just 1 minute at 7 o'clock. We'll be going over how to make these beautiful water lily paper lanterns to put over your Christmas or your fairy lights. Something beautiful to put outside or decorate for a party or any kind of occasion. So it's 7 o'clock. Hi everybody, I'm Billie Moffat with the Gail Borden Public Library, and today we'll be making beautiful water lily paper lanterns. They're just little paper lanterns that pop right over your Christmas or your fairy lights that you can hang for any occasion or for every day. So let's get started. Let me put these over. All you need, whoops, they're falling off my table. So all you need is a piece of paper. This is just one sheet of copy paper. It's just a piece of colored paper. You need a pair of scissors. I'll also be using an X-Acto knife, but you don't quite need them. And you'll need a paper cup and some glue. Today I'll be using hot glue to expedite everything, but white glue is just fine to use as well. So let me put the camera down and let's get started. Oops, a little too far down. There we go. So I have my paper cup here, and the first thing I did was I measured the circumference of the bottom because I want my paper to be the width of the paper. So what I did was I marked the paper and I measured, and I'm going to cut off the excess. So for my cup and my sheet of paper, I'm gonna cut off 2 1/8 inch from the end of the paper. You don't need a little cutter like I have here, but it's just quicker to do it on the camera for this. This is just slightly a little bigger. There's just going to be a slight overlap, and that's good because as we add paper to it, it's going to build up for all of our layers here, and I want it to not be gappy at the end, so I made a little gap. Next, for my width of cup, I'm going to need 5 rows of paper. And I'm gonna measure that at, the first one is going to be 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. And then I need 2 pieces that will be 2 inches. 1, 2. And finally, I needed 2 pieces that are 2.5 inches. If you are using a bigger cup, you might want to scale up and experiment what size of paper you need to make your flower look good. I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to put that aside in my garbage. And now for each sheet of paper, I'm going to fold them in half and fold again. And fold for a final time. So I folded the paper into ace. Next, what I'm going to do is take my scissors, and on the end I'm going to gently cut a petal shape that takes about 1/2 inch. That aside. So I have my petal shape, and now I'm going to open it up. And next, you'll want to cut down each of the folds until you get 1/2 inch from the end. You want to save 1/2 inch on the end. So I'm cutting. If you cut all the way or rip it, don't worry, you can still use it. And now I'm going to take my scissors along this edge here, and I'm going to take each petal, and just like you're curling ribbon, I'm going to curl the flower petals, each one. There you go. And now you'll want to duplicate that for all 5 pieces. So they're folded, cut to a tip, and curled. I have my 1.5 inch, my 2 2-inches, and my 2 2.5 inches. Next, I want to cut my paper cup. So I'll cut up the edge, this is just a regular paper cup, to about 3/4 to 1/2 inch from the bottom. And now I'm just gonna take the bottom of the cup and I'm going to cut all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect because no one's gonna see this part. That is just the base for your flower. So now starts the gluing. I have hot glue here, but you can use white glue. I prefer white glue, but since I'm doing it in one go, I'm going to use hot glue so it actually glues quickly. I'm going to start by just gluing a little bead right there, and I'm going to take one of my 2.5 inch. I start with the biggest and I work my way down, and I'm going to glue it right there so it lines up right with the edge of the bottom of the cup. Next, I'm going to fold over and I'm going to glue a little at a time, stretching the flower around, making sure that the bottom stays, that the edge stays attached to the bottom, pulling out any extra hot glue bits. Glue a little more. Don't do too much here at this stage, because you don't want the glue to cool and dry before you've stretched your flower around. The first layer takes the longest. A little more. I'm just moving it around so it's better for me to see. And then this last little bit here, I'm just going to put a little glue on the edge of the petal and glue it down. So it overlaps just a tad, but you won't notice that when it's finished. Next, I'm going to take my next 2.5 inch piece, and this is where I ended, so I'm going to move just a little down. In the middle of one of the petals, I'm going to just put a bead of glue. Now, I started on the middle of one because I want the petals to be offset a little so they're not all meeting up at the same part. And now I'm just going to draw a small strip of glue, holding it down. When you're working with hot glue and paper, remember to always use low temperature hot glue because you don't want to burn yourself. The hot glue is warm, but you're not going to burn your fingertips and give yourself burned skin like you would if you were using a hot temperature glue gun. There we go, I reached the end. And now I'm gonna go to my 2-inch petals, gluing them so all the curves go towards the center. Find my end, I go down a little and I start in the middle of a petal. Always start in the middle of a petal. And I glue this down so that the edge is on the edge of the bottom of the cup. And now I just draw a bead of glue all the way around. Not working faster than the hot glue will let me. It dries quicker than you think, and you need not as much glue as you think. So I'm going to work down just the last bit of petal, hitting the edge of it, and now I'm going to move down just a little bit, just pulling the hot glue spider webs away. It's one of the drawbacks of working with hot glue is you get all these little hot glue spider webs everywhere. And hot glue can add bulk to your craft as well. But since I don't have time to wait in between the stages on video, that's why I'm using hot glue, because I normally prefer using just white school glue. The only glue I would advise not to use is glue stick. That is fairly dry glue and it won't be a permanent adherence. Now we'll go to our very last 1-inch piece. Move down a little, go in the middle of A, with my curls going up and towards the center of the flower. Do a quick bead, pull it around. And again. Pulling the extra glue out that I got there. Whoops. I just need to add a little extra glue stick for a little extra oomph there. And there we go. It's all glued together. Put that aside. All glued together. And what I'm going to do now is I want to pull down all of the 1-inch petals all the way down to where it stops. I'm not tugging very hard because I don't want to rip them off. Next, I'm going to pull down the first layer of 2-inch petals. I'm not tearing, I'm just tugging them down gently but firmly. And then next, I'm going to pull down the next layer of 2-inch, but not 100%. I'm giving them a little so that they stay up just a little bit. Pulling away my hot glue spider webs. And now the center of the flower looks okay, but sometimes I might want to fluff it up a little, mess it up so it looks more organic. And now the final step is I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. Always have a cap on your X-Acto knife. You don't want to get hurt or have somebody hurt themselves. I'm just going to cut in an X into the center of my cup. Just like that. So there's a little X in the center. Now I'm going to pull my lights up. I'm going to take, here's my light, I'm going to take the flower by the base, holding it by the cup part. And I'm going to shove the light in. If it pops out, just hide the paper back in, flipping out the edges so it looks nice and pretty again. And there we go. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It is beautiful paper lanterns, water lily paper lanterns for a fun summer craft. Hang outside and use your Christmas lights all year long by turning them into beautiful flowers to decorate your garden and patio, or just something fun for your home. Remember to visit gailborden.info for more online programs. There's a ton of craft programs on there now by me and Elda, so you better get watching and making. We love to make things at the library, and we love to help you. So please share and tag the library with anything you're making. If you have any questions, librarians are still at the library answering questions by phone, email, and text. So make sure if you need anything that you're asking the library. We're here to help. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week, and have fun making something. Bye.